Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Zemanek. Our question this time comes from the Utah University in Cedar City, Utah. He writes, "Why is God so mean in the Old Testament? Why couldn't he be more like Jesus? I think more people would like him if he were." Great question. In fact, I had heard a professor once say that basically Jesus came as a facelift so that we would learn to like this God a little better. That's not the truth, and that's not the answer. The fact is, the Old Testament portrays God as merciful and gracious far more than he portrays him as stern and distant. We simply haven't read the Old Testament. Most people who complain about God being mean in the Old Testament are people who are only listening to what other people have said about God or haven't read the whole thing. Truth is, what we see in Jesus is an up-close and personal picture of what we see in God in the Old Testament. One of my favorite passages on this is from Jonah chapter 4, after Jonah tells the Ninevites about God and they repent and he gets mad. And God says, "Why are you mad? All of these people have been spared. I was merciful. Why are you upset?" Jonah makes a statement about the Old Testament God that many of us never heard. Jonah says, "I know that you are merciful and compassionate, slow to anger, rich in grace and love, and quick to relent from doing harm." If you ask me, that sounds an awful lot like Jesus, and yet Jonah's talking to the God of the Old Testament. The reason Jesus came wasn't to give God a facelift, but to bring God's face up close and personal so that we could get to know him, see him. Because the God of the Old Testament didn't walk around every day with people. Jesus did. The reason we love Jesus the way we do is we see his stern and we see his mercy because he's up close and personal. What he's showing us is God of the Old and New Testament. He is exactly the same. My encouragement is to take time and read those 39 books of the Old Testament again, and you will discover that that is the very same God that you see in Jesus in the Gospels. Well, those are my thoughts. And remember, because of Jesus, life is good today.